the case. And I think we really do have to take a step back sometime and remember that COVID-19 is still quite an issue. And we've heard a lot about some very full intensive care units during COVID-19. And there's a worry that, if we forget that it's still happening and the second wave strikes, there's going to be an overrun in our ICUs once again. Well, West Park Healthcare is taking that into account with their newly expanded long-term ventilation unit. Roger Goldstein is a respiratory medicine specialist with the West Park Healthcare Centre, and he joins us now. Good morning, Roger.
Yes, good morning to you.
So, Roger, what do the ICUs currently look like? Do we still have an overcrowding issue?
I think things are in balance now. I think early in the COVID, there was an urgent demand to free up ICU beds so that patients with COVID could be admitted.
So, Roger, we're going to talk about the expanded long-term ventilation unit, and this is for the chance that there may be a second wave. Is it a chance, or is there an expectation of a second wave of COVID?
Well, opinions vary. My own opinion is that Canada has learned from what's gone on elsewhere, and Ontario, Toronto has been particularly cautious in opening in stages. And I think with hand washing, masking and distancing, we might well have a very blunt second wave.
So tell me about this long-term ventilation unit. What is the difference between this and an ICU?
Well, this is really interesting stuff. Years ago, we began to realize that people in the ICU, once they become stable, some of them can't be separated from the ventilator. They still require life support. Now, at that point, they're in the wrong environment, and they needed a rehabilitative environment. So we opened up this unit for long-term ventilation, and it has two goals. One is to move people out of the ICU, and the second is to try to get them home, back in the community. So we've been active in both areas. When COVID hit, the Toronto region said, can you expand quickly? And then we said yes. And then we figured out how to do it. And now things are running in quite a balanced way.
And so you mentioned that you have expanded in order to take into account the fact that COVID is something that affects people's, respiratory abilities. They do need ventilators. How much of an expansion has West Park Healthcare made?
Well, we were at 46 beds, and we went to a total of 69 beds. So it's quite a big expansion. It occurred very quickly.
Well, 46 to 69, that's good, but obviously this is something COVID is just so over-encompassing. Are there plans to expand further in different places as well?
Yes, we've got partner hospitals, both Michael Garron in Toronto and Toronto Grace have both come on board now and are expanding their long-term ventilation capabilities. Now, I think things will move into balance now because our program also focuses on getting people home, on training them and their caregivers to return to the community while remaining on the life support systems.
Roger Goldstein's on the line right now. He is a respiratory medicine specialist with West Park Healthcare. Roger, what have you seen as far as, I don't know if we can say long-term issues, but, we're 6 months in, but, after people get off the ventilators, have there been persistent issues thereafter?
You have to bear in mind that the majority of people who get COVID recover completely. There's a small percentage who require much more intensive management. So what we have seen is of those individuals, months down the road, and I suspect years down the road, we are going to see some consequences. But the main consequences are profound weakness from having been ventilated, and anxiety, depression. It's a traumatic, life-threatening experience.
Right, I can imagine. Yeah, there's been a lot made of mental health, coming out of COVID. Well, Roger, wish you all the best with the expansion. Hopefully this is a great alternative so we can keep those ICUs clear for people who need them beyond COVID as well.
Thank you, Jason.
Thank you very much for joining me this morning. Remember, friends, even though we're into stage 3, we're not necessarily out of the woods as far as COVID has gone. I mean, we're in a better state than these states as we look across the border, and let's keep that border closed. But there is still risk out there. So keep washing them hands and keep wearing them masks.